GW fans, welcome back to Raise High at GW. I'm Kevin Burke inside the Smith Center. It looks a little bit different this week because we are not at our typical place of tonic due to some inclement weather, and we are joined virtually this week by head men's basketball coach Jamie and Christian for some reasons we're about to get into. Coach, how you doing? It's great to see you.
Feeling great. It's good to be on here and great to be back with another show.
First and foremost, our first topic really doesn't need much introduction. You're at home for obvious reasons. How are you feeling?
Yeah, I'm feeling great. I'm really fortunate that I have a great support system here with my wife, and I was able to kind of get away from it and isolate on my own and still was able to get to food and be able to get the rest and stuff that I needed. So really fortunate to be in a position where I am and excited to get back up there on the floor as soon as I'm allowed to.
The last time we talked, you guys had a pause for a tier 1 positive test. This one obviously came close to home. What was that feeling like when you first heard the news that you had tested positive?
Well, we're all of us coaches out here and all of our players kind of recognize the environment that we're in. So when you get the news, it's obviously really disappointing, but you're not surprised. I mean, we're traveling around, we're playing against opponents who are also traveling. We're trying to put together a season during a pandemic. So again, I was disappointed just because I wanted to continue to be out there and compete with our team. But I think it's really understandable about what's going on in the world. And again, just fortunate enough to be in an environment where I'm surrounded with people that are doing well themselves physically, and then just want to make sure we're doing everything we can to stay safe.
So how hard is it being away from your team? What's the interaction like now?
Well, we've been on these Zoom interviews now since really last April. So, it just gives us a time to kind of reset ourselves. I mean, our players are in class right now, so they're lined up with Zoom calls all day long with class anyway. And so, all we're trying to focus on right now is just trying to find ways to grow our team, to look at the things that maybe we haven't done great so far this year. And then just trying to find ways that we can change those things during the time away. And it's really that simple. It's just all about trying to grow our team. And so being away from them just gives me time to think a little bit more creatively. And we're all really engaging and trying to figure out a way to do it better.
It's also in this year unlike any other, it's, we're just going to add something to it because you've added a new staff member in the course of all of this with Eric Atkins joining your team as an assistant coach. Tell us a little bit about Eric.
Yeah, we added Eric Atkins over the break, and we're juiced for Eric. And, it's one of these things where I was an assistant at William & Mary, and I was following around this DC Assault team for 2.5 summers. And Eric Atkins was one of the performers on that team. And actually, I was following around kid Cedric Lindsay, who ended up going to Richmond and came down to Richmond and William & Mary, and we didn't get him. But I had a chance to watch Eric play on that team over and over again. And I was just always amazed at his poise as a player. I loved watching him as a player. I loved watching him compete. He went on to Notre Dame, where he was one of the best players in the ACC, one of the best point guards in Notre Dame history, and where they won a ton of games. And they really kind of crossed over from being a really good ACC team to one of the best ACC teams in his time period there. And I just wasn't surprised by that because he's, every team he's ever been on has been a little bit better than what maybe you thought it was going to be. And I think he has that special quality to be able to improve programs and organizations. So, I had a long-standing relationship with Eric and, again, watching him grow as a young coach in this business, I was as excited as he was to work together with him. And I'm excited to get him with our young guards and with our with the recruits we're bringing in, because I think he's got an unbelievable ability to connect and to help these guys improve.
You're leading me perfectly into my next question. How is he going to be able to help the backcourt?
Well, I think, number one, I think his demeanor and his poise, I think, are extremely important. You look at a guy like James Bishop and Tyler Brailsford and Lincoln Ball, and we have Brayon Freeman coming in next year. And, we've got a lot of really good guards. Amir Harris is already in our program now. I think him being able to teach those guys how to dictate a game and how to understand the game and to give them perspective, as well as a guy who loves being in the gym and loves connecting with players and coaches. I think he's going to really help them just from that standpoint of being present with them on what their goals and what they want to be able to do. Also having someone who's done it before, trying to learn how to build a program at that guard spot can be challenging. He's done it. He's going to be able to talk to those guys a little bit about that. He would have felt those emotions and all those things, be able to help them with that. So again, we're really juiced about him because I think he's just got an unbelievable ability. Talking about hungry and humble. It's a great addition to our program, and I'm excited to get him with our guys.
What about the recruiting angle to bring a guy that comes from the Baltimore area and the local area to be able to recruit the DMV continuously? Yeah,
I think he'll do a great job with us with recruiting, and just because he can connect with players and I'm really excited where we are recruiting wise. I think we've done a good job staying local, keeping a lot of guys here that can really play. And I think he'll be a great addition to that as well. We have a system of recruiting that we believe in, that we've used since Mount St. Mary's to Siena and here. And the system has worked everywhere we've been. And a big part of the system is having the right kind of people that can share their stories and can connect with young people. And he's going to obviously be a great addition to be able to do that.
Before we talk basketball after the break, I know this week has special meaning to you as it's Suits and Sneakers Week. Talk to us a little bit about what this week means to you.
Well, it's huge. I mean, one of the things that happens one of the things that's consistent, sadly, is that cancer is in everybody's family, in everybody's life. And one of the things we've been able to do with Coaches versus Cancer is really just learn a ton over the last few years, just about like all the different programming around the country that's there to help people that have cancer, that need help, that need assistance. And obviously a lot of the money that we are able to raise goes into cancer research, which is huge. So there's just so many different things that it can go into with this week. And, I wish I was able to get out there and perform a little bit. So we might have to do something special to make sure we're continuing to build that level of awareness. But again, it's really all about just building that level of awareness, making sure people understand like where that money goes and what it can do to help, and just making sure those that have cancer know where that support is coming from and that it's coming from a great place.
That's what I was going to ask you. It's no Suits this year. So what is the alternative for Suits and Sneakers, and how are you going to try and raise some awareness, and where can people find some more information about this? Yeah,
the Suits and Sneakers has always been a thing that was really a sign to raise awareness, and I remember when we started doing this a few years ago, it'd be a TV game and people were like, well, why are these coaches wearing suits and sneakers? And that just brought awareness to it. And then every year it's consistently grown, which has been amazing to watch it just keep growing every single year, and watching more coaches get involved with it, and watching more organizations get involved with it, and watching universities jump a hold of it. It's definitely an area where I think we can do a great job here in the DMV of just raising more cancer awareness and being able to fundraise more here for Coaches versus Cancer.
There's so much power to do good in the world, and Coach, we appreciate everything you do for that. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to introduce you to the newest high major transfer here at GW. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
When you get the diagnosis of cancer, you don't know how you're going to handle it. You really don't know what's coming down the road for you. I was diagnosed with stage 4 oral cancer. The doctors at GW Hospital were fantastic. They were willing to advocate for an alternative treatment that had better outcomes for me, better life over a longer term with fewer side effects. I want to say thank you for getting me through cancer treatment and back to living my life.
From routine care to life-saving emergencies, we're here for you, the George Washington University Hospital.
Fans, support GW's 500 student athletes with a gift to GW Athletics. Your gift will support GW student athletes to succeed in competition, in the classroom, and in the community. Give today at go.gwu.edu/give to athletics. Thank you for your generosity to GW Athletics.
With the great technology at GW Hospital and the great doctors, I am now cancer-free. I was able to see where my mass was with the help of virtual reality technology. The doctor came in saying he removed it all. I feel wonderful. GW Hospital is the best. They truly take care of you.
From routine care to life-saving emergencies, we're here for you, the George Washington University Hospital.
Do you miss GW basketball game days? Look no further than The Sweet Life. The Sweet Life is delivered directly to you and includes GW Adidas gear, GW branded game day essentials, your own fan cutout in the Smith Center, access to exclusive GW content, and so much more. Visit gwsports.com/sweetlife today and pick the package that's right for you.
Welcome back to Raise High at GW. I'm Kevin Burke, joined virtually by GW men's basketball head coach Jamie and Christian. Next up in a long line of high major transfers to GW is DC's own Ricky Lindo Jr. Let's take a look at what Ricky can bring to the Buff and Blue.
What GW's fans can expect to see in my game is a player that plays hard every single possession, who brings a lot to the table defensively and offensively, and who will do anything to make sure the team wins. I I was 14 or 15 years old when I first dunked. It was the beginning of my sophomore year in high school. And I remember it was at a rec gym late at night. And I had to start from half court just to get a running start, just to dunk with two hands. College sport that I would play other than basketball would be volleyball. I played a little bit when I was in middle school. It was really fun. I could easily spike the ball. Yeah, I think I could beat any volleyball player here at GW. What it means to play in the world's most powerful city is not just because it's the nation's capital, it's because it's my hometown. I was born and raised here in Washington, D.C., and it's a great honor to play for my home city. High school is 20 minutes away. I live 15 minutes away. It's just a great joy to play for George Washington. It feels like it was meant to be. I chose GW because of my relationship with Coach Christian and the atmosphere here at GW. Obviously, going to school 20 minutes away from here, I played here for state championship games many times, and I just thought it was a great fit.
He gets a steal here. LINDO in front, dunks it with two hands.
Jamie, and we're only just scratching the surface in terms of what we've been able to see Ricky Lindo do. What have you seen from him in just a couple games?
Well, we've always known Ricky has a tremendous competitiveness, and that's one thing that you love. It's easy to find a guy who has a talent level. It's rare to find a guy who has a talent level and a competitiveness that's unique, and that's what Ricky does. And when he walks on the floor and he walks into practice, he challenges everybody to be at their very best because of how he loves to compete. And again, knowing him for as long as I have, I was excited to coach him on his first day out there because I saw this young guy years ago that I thought could be special. And so to get a chance to coach him and to watch him be able to do that, I've been really, really enthused to be able to be a part of it.
Sort of leads into my next question in terms of when you have a situation where you have a Power 5 guy come down to a GW, are you keeping tabs on these guys like Ricky down the line so that if you see his name pop up in the transfer portal, you're able to make that connection and continue that?
Yeah, one of the things we're always trying to do in our recruiting, number one, we want to get to know as many kids and families as possible. It's not always about obviously you need to sign great players to be a great program, but we really try not to make it that kind of focus. I just want every kid that we have a chance to connect with to know that we care about them, that we want them to be at their very best, that whenever they need us, we're going to be there for them. Some of these relationships for recruits has become so transactional because of the nature of basketball. And I just don't want to have a transactional relationship with young people. I want them to always know that we're there for them. And that's why we kind of construct our staff the way that we are able to. Just know those guys know that we have their backs. And so, guys like Ricky Lindo or Amir Harris, when they pop up on the transfer wire, number one, I'm not excited for them because that means that they went somewhere and they didn't have a great experience. And I want everyone that we're having a chance to connect with to have a great experience wherever they go. If you make a decision, it might not be to come to GW. I want you to be a part of that decision, and I want that to work out for you. And so the first thing for me is I'm always just a little saddened for them when it doesn't work out. The second thing is, looking and see if that person's personality or their talent will mix and be able to help us. And then thirdly, it's if they know who we are and they know what we stand for, do they make a phone call to us because they're interested in what we're offering to them? So there's a lot more stages to it. Again, I'm never excited when I see someone's name on the wire because, again, that means someone's dream in some way has been interrupted. At that point, I don't want to be a part of their interruption, but I do want to be a part of making their dreams come true. And if that has an opportunity to do that here at GW, then we're going to be excited to be able to do that.
Well, you now have 4 Power 5 transfers in your program currently when you look at James, Matt, Amir, and Ricky. And you go back through GW, you have Tyler Cavanaugh, you have Mo Creek, Isaiah Armwood. What makes it about GW that makes it so ripe for the student-athlete success at this level?
Well, number one, GW is a brand that sells itself. It's a place that's very attractive to players all around the world. And that includes transfers. And, I think a lot of the guys that we're looking at now, they would have looked at GW the first time around. They might have made another decision. But this is a place that people want to go to school. You want to go to school in the heart of D.C. You want to be 2 blocks away from the White House. You want to be in a great league like the A10. And then sometimes something else might seem a little bit more shiny, and you might take an opportunity to go somewhere else. And so I think when you look at it, the combination of all those things coming backwards is really, really exciting. It's a great academic institution. Many of these guys went to great academic schools or were great students in high school, so they value a level of education. They value the competitiveness of being in the A10, and they value being in a place with a brand name like GW.
Changing gears just a little bit as we focus on what's to come the rest of the season, if not for all these schedule changes and postponements. We're looking at the halfway mark of A10 play, and believe it or not, the conference tournament's next month. So what should fans expect when you get back out on the court here for the final month of the regular season?
Well, there's a lot of good basketball ahead for all of us, and especially our team. And, an opportunity for us to get back out here on the floor with guys like Jamison Battle and Ricky Lindo and James Bishop and Matt Moyer and, Hunter Dean in a second semester with Chase Parr and his second full year with us. I mean, there's a lot of good things to be excited about if you're a GW fan. Because I think we're going to start watching these guys kind of settle into our team and settle into being able to play the kind of brand of basketball that I believe we can play. You look at a few of these guys having a chance to play a couple A10 games, start to get their feet under themselves a little bit. That's exciting for us. Then a chance to play against some of the better teams in VCU and Dayton. Some great teams there, and us getting a feel and a vibe for that. So, I think we're going to be able to settle in here as we get through this a little bit and be able to really play some great basketball.
Speaking in a purely basketball sense, what has stood out to you around the A10? Have there been some teams or some players that have stood out to you when you've been able to watch them from around the conference?
It's anybody's league right now when I'm watching these games, and that's what's exciting for us. I mean, we're rolling out here with a group of guys that we really believe in, and we're looking at how these teams are playing in our league. I mean, we've got some great wins. I mean, I think Richmond beat Kentucky early in the year, and we got all these great wins going on in our league, and I'm looking at our team saying, man, we're emerging and we're coming on quick and we're coming on strong. So that's what's exciting for us. I mean, we're all working to try to be one of the best teams, one of the best leagues in the country, and the A10 this year has proven to be one of those. I think we've got 6 or 7 teams that are right there near the top 25 of mid-major basketball right now, and I believe we get to the end of the year, we'll have an opportunity to be there knocking on that door.
It's going to be great. Coach, we look forward to seeing your team back out on the court very soon, and we look forward to talking to you in person next time. We appreciate the time as always.
Thanks so much. Take care.
Stay tuned. Coming up next, we have head volleyball coach Sarah Bernstein here on Raise High at GW.
I think this year, the fact that we have a strong sisterhood, and part of it stems from the fact that we are together a lot more because COVID protocols. It's really hard to see other people. It's brought us all together on this really intense level, and we're more than grateful that our other teammates had finally made it back on a campus and can continue playing with us and actually have our full family back together. It feels amazing, and I don't think that we would be able to have that same, that reliance on one another on the court if we didn't have it off the court.
It's been 10, almost 11 months since we've last competed and played together as a team. And in those months, we've had some new girls. So I think it's gonna feel like a new journey and like an exciting one that we wanna embark on. Even though lots have changed, our friendships still didn't change, and there was still that goal to be the best team that we can be and be the best in the A10. And I think that was really comforting to go back and to come back and feel that spirit. And I realized it was so much easier to get back into the swing of things when you have your friends supporting you.
If we can't have cohesion together, it's really hard to be successful. And I think that moving forward, the best thing that we can do is have each other's backs. Having us together and being on the same page is going to be very important. And I'm looking forward to the challenge, and I'm more than excited to have us actually face it. And I think that we're going to do an incredible job this season.
Welcome back to Raise High at GW. Thanks as always to GW men's basketball head coach Jamie and Christian for joining us. It's a very special year here in Foggy Bottom in 2021 as it's the bicentennial, an incredible historic milestone representing 200 years of phenomenal growth from humble origins to a top comprehensive global research university in the heart of the nation's capital. Today, more than 27,000 students and thousands of faculty call GW home, and they hail from every state in more than 130 countries worldwide and live this legacy of learning and innovation. Athletics will be taking part in bicentennial celebrations all year long, starting on GW Charter Day, February 9th, and that's going to be GW Volleyball. They'll be hosting Howard here at the Smith Center. We're now joined by the head coach of GW Volleyball, Ms. Sarah Burnson. How you doing? Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Kevin.
It's been a long time since you guys have seen the court, and that's an understatement. How does it feel to finally be able to start competing here very soon?
It's the fruition of all the work we've done since August. We had 12 athletes here in the fall, and we have all 14 here now. And we're really eager to play with whistles and uniforms and play when it counts.
What's it mean for you now as typically a fall sport that you're going to be competing in the spring? Is there any difference?
There's definitely a difference. And we've always jokingly said as fall coaches that we were a little bit jealous of spring sports because they got to kind of bring in their freshmen, train them in the system, and then they get that prep for the season. And so this is our chance to experience it. And there's been some talk about volleyball and beach volleyball switching season, so we'll see if that actually happens. So I guess this is a good test run for us. But it's been great to have the freshmen in the gym and prepping and getting to know the system. And it's actually been nice to have the seniors in the spring. Usually the seniors are done in the fall and they go off and do their things in the spring. And now they're actually, we're with them and we get to celebrate their last semester.
So would it be fair to say you have a better sense of what to expect from your team as opposed to a normal season?
I think so. I think the rush to play right away when you're a fall sport kind of makes your medal and you kind of have to work your way through. So there's really some benefits of playing so early and your team gets forged really tightly through that way. This way in the spring, there's much more discussion and theory. And so I'm personally curious as well just to see how we do with playing in the spring.
Well, take us through your team. You lost a good amount from your senior class last year, but you brought in a couple freshmen and some transfers. Take us through your team.
Yeah, so we had, in most of our starting group the attackers were seniors, so they've gone on to their next stage of their life. Our two defensive players did start, so they're returning, and there are also our captains, Bella Bowman and Sydney Welch. So that's a good core for us to start with. And then most of our returners did play at some point this last season, so they did see action. We talked about the importance of them to compete a little bit, see what the game speed's like, see how they can improve so that when they could attack spring and then ultimately was the fall in their growth and to play the next competition season. So everybody's had a taste and we'll see how they go when they get a bit more of a bite of the action.
And COVID has introduced a whole new scheduling world, and it's going to be different for your program as well. There's going to be fewer matches, and it's going to be pod systems. So take us through what you'll see in the pod that you'll be playing.
So I believe we're called the North Pod, and so it's 5 out of the 10, and we'll be playing Rhode Island, Fordham, LaSalle, and George Mason, and we'll be playing at least 2 or in some cases 3. So we'll be playing LaSalle and George Mason 3 times, and the rest of them 2, and then the top teams from each pod get automatic seed to the 4-team A10 tournament, and then the next 2 with the best record. So we have a lot to motivate us to be the top seed, and if not that, to get the best possible record of the remaining teams to play in the A10 championship. We were supposed to host this year, so that's been on our vision for a long time. So we definitely want to be in that postseason and have a shot at getting the title.
Yeah, we'd love to have it here at Smith Center in April. It's weird to have a volleyball championship in April, but we'll take it at any point. Is there any adjustment? Because you're going to be playing fewer teams, there's no tournaments to start, and you're playing pretty much the same teams over and over. So what type of adjustment does that do for you in terms of scouting?
Well, every team's adjust every time they play. There's injuries, there's development of systems. So we'll continue to evaluate that. And it's hard to beat a team 3 times. We encountered that last year when we went to the A10 tournament. So I think our ability to be steady on who we are and be really confident in our team identity is going to lead us through that, in that path, and then just continue to evaluate in our opponent's offense and see where they change, and then really hone in and talk about their adjustments and adapt accordingly.
Gotcha. It sounds great. Now it's time for a Race High GW tradition, rapid fire. I'm going to ask you a question. You give me your first thought.
Okay.
You ready? All right. Starting off, favorite breakfast spot in D.C.?
Union Market. I know deli too, but Union Market.
Yes. Locally, the deli will take. Funniest person in GW athletics?
I say Rob Castile. The tennis coach is pretty darn funny.
Top only a GW moment?
I think it's just being on campus and just seeing the amount of people that walk by in awe. It's just special to experience that every day.
Hardest hitter on your team?
Sarah Pintel. Fastest arms are Paz and Elizabeth.
There we go. Favorite non-volleyball Olympic sport?
Ice hockey.
Really?
Yes.
Where does that come from?
I've seen a lot of college ice hockey, and it's great there, and it's just grown my love of it. And so ice hockey is a big fan I'm a big fan.
There we go. Student athlete on your team to watch this season, or athletes, so you don't have to pick just one.
No, sure. I mean, they're all going to be able, you want to watch because you haven't seen that much of them. I do think Isabella Bowman, our libero, is someone to watch. She was really steady for us. I think it's going to be a breakout year for her this year in the spring of 2021.
All right, you're officially off the hot seat. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much.
That'll do it for another episode of Raise High at GW. For Sarah Burnson and for Jamie and Christian, I'm Kevin Burke. Stay safe, and we'll see you again soon.